filmed another video, but I had to can it because for some reason the highway was closed. I was stressing. I'm stressing. I'm late to the gym. Guess what? It's Raheem's birthday. Everybody, happy birthday, Raheem. The absolute GOAT. Been supporting me since day one. He is probably the main reason why I'm actually putting myself out on social media. He's always been in my corner, so shout out Raheem. We got a little birthday dinner tonight. Little spaghetti and meatballs type shit, you know what I'm saying? It'll be the first off-plan meal, and realistically, I haven't even been dieting for a month. I took it extremely aggressive for the first week or two, maybe 3 weeks, and then I started to taper off as my metabolism started to adapt. I can't really push my calories too much, but with that being said, hopefully you guys are all having a fantastic Monday, start of the week. Let's go. I actually finally got my EKKOVISION package. I've been waiting for this since Houston. Before people start asking me, oh, can you get EKKOVISION to ship to UK, to Australia, to I can't even get it in Canada, bro. I can't even get it in Canada. I mean, I can, but it's just, it's tricky, right? It's tricky. And it's a relatively newer company. They will eventually, hopefully, ship to other places, but I can't glaze them enough. They are seriously, like, the quality of their supplements, the protein powder. I haven't tried the white chocolate peanut butter. That review is coming up, but you know what? I finally have my EKKOLITE. Now this product right here, if you guys have been watching my streams, you know I glaze EKKOLITE like no other. I have maybe 4 servings a day. Always 2 scoops when I wake up, and usually 2 scoops at night during my stream. Just, it's a tasty little beverage. I don't drink carbonated stuff. For those of you who don't know, I just don't like carbonation. I don't drink Diet Pop, even on a diet. My coping mechanism with hunger is gum. I chew a lot of gum. Is it really good for your gut health? Probably not, but it is what it is, right? So EKKOLITE, I'm savoring my blackberry lemonade for some reason, so I'm sipping on that pineapple paradise. 1 second. Oh, I'm telling you right now, it's glorious. It just puts me in such a good mood. In between meals, before the gym, to make sure that you're hydrated. Remember, hydration is not just drinking fluids. It's also about replenishing your electrolytes. So magnesium, chloride, potassium, calcium, sodium. You know what I'm saying? Very important. I will do a longer form video on the benefits of electrolytes, micronutrients, all of those things eventually. But for the time being, we're just gonna yap, we're just gonna talk. So hopefully you guys had a fantastic weekend. I played some FIFA, you know, we're loving the game. The game's a little bit challenging to defend. If anyone's in here that plays FIFA, this year it's very hard to defend, but you know what's good? Because that means that there's a skill gap. Every single year in FIFA, over the past like 2, 3, 4 years, it's just been AI City. You can just hold R1 and X or whatever, and your players will just defend for you, and people are just not even controlling their center mids and just allowing the AI to control it. It's brutal. But now it's just a passing simulator. Anyway, I'm having fun. For whoever doesn't play FIFA, you probably don't care. But yeah, I got my dethroner, I got my L-Dopa, I got my electrolytes, I got my Mundi dextrin, I got EAAs. I'm stacked. We hit a new low. We are averaging around 168 pounds. I know, it's pathetic, but you know what? It is what it is. Just like I always say, if you're trying to get absolutely peeled, like 10% and below, and yes, 10% is pretty damn shredded, and no, not a lot of people are 10%. They assume that they're 10%, but they're not. You're gonna have to get light unless you have a lot of muscle in your frame, and you know what? We unfortunately need to get some more muscle on our frame, but we will in good time. We will. So I've got about, I want to see that moving average, get down to like 162 for me to get as lean as I'd like, and then we're gonna build from there. We're gonna build from there, and we're gonna pack on some serious mass. We're gonna add some stage weight, get us up to like, you know, 170, 175. It's motivating because, you know, I'm gonna be able to pack on a good amount of muscle for sure from this point. But anyway, with that being said, we are going to train with the GOAT himself, Raheem, because it's his birthday. We're gonna hit a nice full body session. I finally got him on full body over the past like month or two, so he's been loving it. It's the best split, man. I mean, argue with the wall. No, I'm just kidding. Do what you'd like, but the benefits are massive. Yeah, no, massive. Yeah. What was I gonna talk about this video? I honestly was just planning to just talk and not really provide any educational value this one, because I haven't really pre-planned what I was going to talk about. I've touched on everything to do with dieting, essentially. Hunger mitigation, how to set up your deficit, refeeds, diet breaks, cheat meals, you name it. I've literally touched on everything. If you want, I think I've talked for like over an hour in this car driving to the gym about how to set up your diet, how to sustain a diet, how long to diet for, how fast to diet for, etc. I mean, maybe some things that I could talk about are food choices, right? I'm pretty sure I touched on like the satiety index, like foods that are going to keep you fuller for longer, like boiled baked potato, or boiled baked, what am I saying? Boiled potato, oatmeal, oranges, those are all high on the satiety index. Keeping your food relatively bland, that's going to prevent cravings. If you start going down the path of sugar-free this, sugar-free that, you're really going to crave more sugary things, right? So try to keep your food consistent, the same, and bland. Bland is better, especially while you're dieting. But outside of that, we know that reverse dieting is kind of meh. I mean, it has value for some people, but for the most part, unless you're trying to continuously get leaner, like the goal should be to find and establish your new maintenance and jump to it right away. Now, how do you find this new maintenance? Well, this is where trial and error comes in, right? Because obviously, due to adaptive thermogenesis, which someone mentioned in the comments, something about I forget the other term that you use, but yes, adaptive thermogenesis and that other term are essentially the same thing, which is just the additional decrease in your total daily energy expenditure that's greater than what you would expect from just losing body mass. And again, this is due to non-exercise activity thermogenesis decreasing because you're not going to be fidgeting as much, you're not going to be holding up your posture. Yeah, things like that, right? You're also not going to be walking as much. You're obviously not going to be eating as much. Your thermic effect of food is going to be lower. So these are some reasons why your metabolism adapts to your calories, and you're going to have to eventually lower them. And then this means that once you do finish the diet, that your newer maintenance is going to be less than what you started with. Mainly because your basal metabolic rate is going to be down because you just carry less body mass. This is what makes up the biggest chunk of your total daily energy expenditure, and it's the amount of calories to keep your system flowing at rest. Imagine if you were in a coma, like how many calories you would need to keep your current state without even moving. So it's just it's trial and error. This is why, like, not a formal reverse diet, but just like underestimating where your maintenance would possibly be using a calculator plus adding like a modifier of that adaptive thermogenesis is a great idea. And then assessing how your body weight responds over the next week or two, and then making adjustments from there. That's like a general recommendation I can give, but as a coach, obviously, if I've been working with someone for 12 weeks and they've lost, say 20, 30, 40 pounds, then I'm able to take that data and I'm able to better have a better educated and estimated assumption of what their newer calories would be, right? And then, yeah, essentially it's as simple as finding this new maintenance, going immediately there. You don't have to gradually go there. You go immediately there, because that's what maintenance is. Maintenance is maintaining where you are. It's your current body fat percentage, right? And the reason why it's not your body weight is because your weight is heavily influenced by water and glycogen. For every gram of carbs that you store pulls 3 grams of water. So that's why your weight can fluctuate. Also, you're going to be eating more total food, so that food volume is going to lead to waste, and this waste is going to increase the scale. This is why you don't want to overly fixate on the day-to-day fluctuations. This is something that I deal with tons of times as a coach, is the fact that a lot of people will freak out if they're dieting or if they're main gaining or bulking. They're so fixated on the day-to-day weigh-ins that they forget that during a week or 2 weeks, ideally, you want to use 10 to 14 days, I find, to be the best case scenario, because then that really smooths out those daily fluctuations to truly find your moving average. And then you want to take that moving average and you want to compare it day to day. And this is what we do on Tracked, me and my brother's free training app, is we have a weekly average, which is the average of the recorded weights for every 14 days, I believe, and then we compare that with every day, and then you can kind of see your actual weekly rate. So again, remember that the more body fat you have on you, you're going to be able to push that weekly rate of loss much quicker without risking nearly as much lean body mass loss. And then as you get leaner, you're going to have to pull that down. You guys are probably bored of hearing that. But then when it comes to reversing or getting out of that dieting phase, get to maintenance as soon as possible. Your protein stays consistent, 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. You do not need more. One could even argue 0.7 grams would be fine, but 0.8 really counts for all those outliers, or a majority of them. And then your fats can increase slightly if you want, especially if you've been running them really low to push more carbohydrates, because carbohydrates are extremely important in a dieting phase, because that's what's going to allow you to keep your performance. And then it's Carb City. Shout out Captain Carb if you're watching this and you got this far. And then it's working your way up there, and you don't obviously stay at the same calories forever, but you really need to understand that this post phase of the diet is actually harder than the diet itself for a lot of people. And the reason for this is because you're returning to normalcy. It's now, you get to eat this, you get to eat that. You're no longer dieting, so it's the floodgates are now open. Well, not necessarily. Some people can take an extremely long time to really restore leptin and ghrelin to the point where you're not just famished and wanting to eat everything in sight. So you have to be extremely diligent, even more so in that maintenance phase, especially for the next couple weeks to months, to ensure that you don't blow up and you reverse all of the progress you've just made. So it's all about, there's also something called a dual intervention model, where you have 2 essential body fat set points, and you have a higher and a lower body fat set point. And once you get to the lower body fat set point, this is like a body fat that your body doesn't necessarily want to stay at. It's going to push back, and it's going to want to decrease expenditure, increase hunger, etc. This is why for some people, they're not going to be able to stay as lean as others. Fat cells is also going to be genetic as well. Some people can have more or less fat cells, etc. And there's going to be the same thing with the higher end of the body fat, the dual intervention model, where say you have like a sumo wrestler. If a sumo wrestler, which he or she was extremely high in body fat percentage, their body would push back by increasing expenditure and decreasing hunger to prevent them from gaining more body fat. It's very interesting stuff. We used to think of it as a body fat set point, but now we know it's actually it's known as the dual intervention model. So you guys should look that up. It's pretty interesting. But I don't even know where I was going with that, but you know what? I'm about to go train. I got my subs. I'm a little bit hungry, so I got to go slam some of this intra. Hopefully you guys have a fantastic start to your week. Let's get it, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Peace.